All right, welcome. Today, we are tackling a huge topic, something that's basically the central nervous system for the world's biggest companies. We're talking about enterprise resource planning, or as you probably know it, ERP. We're going to break it all down in our classic Q&A style, hitting all the key questions you might have. So, ready to get into it? Let's go. So, let's start with the big picture. Just imagine for a second a massive global company. We're talking thousands of employees, operations in dozens of countries, a supply chain that literally wraps around the planet. How on earth do they keep all of that running without it just descending into total chaos? Well, the answer, as you've probably figured out, is ERP. So that leads us right to the first and most fundamental question. What exactly is an ERP system anyway? At its heart, you can think of ERP software as the command center for a business. The most important thing to get is that it brings together all of the core processes, finance, manufacturing, supply chain, HR, into one single unified system. So no more trying to make sense of a million different spreadsheets from a million different departments. It's all right there in one place. Okay, that definition sounds pretty powerful, right? But how does it actually work in the real world? What's the magic going on behind the scenes? And this, right here, is the secret sauce. It's all built on a single, centralized database. This is the absolute game changer. It means that when someone in sales enters a new order, the inventory team sees it instantly. The finance department sees that revenue update in real time. Everybody is working from the exact same playbook with the same up-to-the-second information. It just eliminates so much confusion and so many delays. And modern ERPs are so much more than just a shared database. They are absolutely packed with powerful features. I mean, think about automation that frees up your team from all that tedious data entry, or deep analytics that can turn a mountain of raw numbers into crystal clear insights you can actually act on. And get this, the latest systems are now supercharged with AI and machine learning to help you predict what's coming around the corner. This table here does a great job of showing the modular structure. See, an ERP isn't one giant piece of software. It's more like a suite of interconnected tools, or modules, for all the different parts of the business. So for finance, you might have a module for financial accounting, that's FI, and one for controlling, or CO. For your supply chain, you'll see modules for things like materials management and sales and distribution. Each department gets its own special tools, but they all plug right into that central database we've been talking about, making sure everyone is on the same page. Okay, so let's say a company decides we need an ERP. What's next? How do they actually get one up and running? Well, let's take a look at the deployment options. So the two main choices have always been on-premise and cloud. On-prem is the traditional way. You buy the software, you run it on your own servers in your own building. This gives you total control, which is great, but it requires a huge upfront investment and a dedicated IT team to keep it running. The far more popular option today is cloud ERP. With that, you just pay a subscription fee to a vendor who handles absolutely everything. It's more agile, it's cheaper to get started, but, and this is a big one, you're trusting that vendor with all of your company's most sensitive data. Of course, it's not always a simple either-or choice. A lot of companies now are using a hybrid model where they kind of mix and match. For instance, they might keep their super sensitive financial data on their own secure servers, but then use a flexible cloud system for something like HR. This is often called a two-tier ERP. And it's a way for big, complex companies to get the security of on-premise with the agility of the cloud. It's like having the best of both worlds. So, we've covered the what and the how. But now, we get to the most important question of all. Why? Why would a company go through the massive effort and expense of implementing an ERP? Well, the answer really comes down to 6 key benefits. Let's break them down. Okay, first up, higher productivity. All that automation takes over the repetitive stuff, so your people can do their actual jobs. Second, deeper insights. With that single source of truth, you can finally see the whole picture, not just little departmental snapshots. 3, accelerated reporting. What used to take weeks of mashing spreadsheets together now takes minutes. This naturally leads to number 4, lower risk. Because you have real-time visibility, you can spot problems before they become catastrophes. Number 5, your IT becomes simpler since you're managing one integrated system instead of a messy patchwork of dozens. And finally, all of this adds up to improved agility, the power to spot a new trend and react to it instantly. All right, let's wrap this up with a quick fire round to answer some of the most common questions people have about today's ERP systems. First up, are these things a one-size-fits-all kind of deal, or can a business actually tailor it to what they need? Oh, the answer is a huge yes.
Flexibility is absolutely key. Companies can pick and choose the specific modules they need, scale everything up as they grow, and even integrate the ERP with other essential software they're already using.
Next question, and it's a big one. We've talked about productivity, but let's get really specific. How exactly does an ERP make a business run more efficiently?
Well, it really comes down to three things. It automates all those time-consuming, repetitive tasks. It deeply integrates your processes so work flows smoothly from one department to the next. And, critically, by using that single database, it drastically reduces data entry errors and all the wasted time that comes from having duplicate information floating around.
And for our final question in this round, what's actually under the hood? What kind of advanced tech is making all of this stuff possible? Today's top ERP systems are powered by some seriously impressive tech. We're talking about AI and machine learning that can predict future supply chain disruptions before they even happen. We're talking natural language processing that lets a CEO literally ask their phone, "What were our sales in Germany last quarter?" and get an instant answer. And it all runs on these incredibly fast in-memory databases that can analyze massive amounts of data in the blink of an eye. And that brings us to our final thought. An ERP gives you a single source of truth, a totally unified view of your entire organization. So the ultimate question isn't just about the technology itself, it's about what you would do with it. If you had every single piece of data at your fingertips, what's the first critical question you would finally be able to answer? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.